Welcome back, everybody, to the Comic-Con podcast. It is episode 30. It's me, Zach, aka the Manimal, and like always, I'm here with my boy Justin, aka Nemesis Prime. What's up, man?
Oh, what's going on, Zach? Really happy to have you back here. I thought you were gone and you were never coming back to the Comic-Con podcast. And I was just going to have to continue doing these episodes by myself, or maybe at some point I'd get another co-host, but I'm glad you're back.
Yeah, man. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was down in Mexico in Cancun area and I was loving it. I didn't really want to come back. You know, vacations are weird. It's like you're down there and you're like, dude, this is so awesome. But about like day 5 or 6 or whatever, 2 days before you're about ready to leave, you're like,
yep.
Yeah, I'm ready to go home. You know what I mean? You miss like the amenities and like the things that your routine, and it's great down there, man, but it's humid AF in the Cancun area. But anyway, episode 30, man. I mean, 30 episodes we've been doing this now. So that's a pretty big number, but it doesn't really feel like 30 yet to me, I guess. I don't know.
No, we're halfway. We're just over the halfway mark. You know, we've been looking at the analytics. We appreciate everybody who's watching it, or actually watching it, listening to it on all the different platforms: Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Anchor FM, as well as some other ones in there. To everybody across the country in the United States and even overseas, and you know, our youngsters, our middle-aged guys, our older viewership, everyone who's checking us out. You know, we appreciate it. We'll get into a lot more of the Comic-Con podcast, really at Terrificon. I had a lot of good people say some really nice things about our podcast that they thoroughly enjoyed. But we definitely want to get into some of the stuff that we have ready to talk about tonight. Let's get right into our community section. How about that?
Yeah, go. You have a question, right?
Yeah, we got of course, I always am uploading some of our older episodes onto our YouTube channel, because eventually when we do a live show, we obviously will be on our YouTube channel first, and then it'll drop audio portions will be on, here on the podcast portion. So I actually dropped an episode not too long ago, and our man Astro Wizard, who is a fellow Instagrammer, he's also bought some stuff off of me on my Whatnot sales. He made a comment on one of the YouTube videos. So he said, "Hey, so you guys know Eternals is coming up. Personally, that's the movie I'm looking forward to the most. What do you think Eternals will do for the MCU? Do you think it's the next Avengers and ties together all the movies and leads to the big bad showdown? Great show, guys. I'll catch you later." So, Zach, I mean, I know you're more the Marvel guy.
Okay.
Why don't you kind of take this?
Yeah, it's tricky. The Eternals is... It's like, okay, so obviously the two big new properties we got coming out are Shang-Chi and the Eternals, right? Mm-hmm. So Shang-Chi is a little easier to predict because it's just like, a solo superhero. It's going to be moderately an origin story and whatnot. The Eternals, though, is very loaded. Like, they've been around forever. You have to explain where they were during everything we've seen in the MCU prior. I don't know. I don't have a good guess necessarily on like what the Eternals is going to do. I do think what we'll see is, I think the Eternals might be more or less the linchpin between the MCU, what we've had prior, and what we're going to see in the future. Like, I do think we're going to get some kind of connections in between. Maybe, I know a lot of people think this will move towards setting up like the Marvel Mutants scenario, possibly as well as Fantastic Four, hinting at that kind of stuff. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm familiar with the Eternals. I've read quite a few runs of the Eternals. None of like the original. I'll admit I haven't read the original Jack Kirby stuff. But some of the more modern one, I'm reading currently reading the Kieran Gillen run as well. And I don't know. Do I think they're the next Avengers? No way. Not enough big names. Not enough independence. You know what I mean? Like, the Eternals operate as the Eternals. The Avengers operate as the Avengers and can also operate solo. You know what I mean?
But I guess the one thing that we do have is Black Knight. He's going to be first appearing in that movie, but I think that's going to really uplift him into the echelon of other movies that are coming out in the Marvel universe. So, like you said, because you had in Doctor Strange, you had the Ancient One, and she was there at the Battle of New York, as we've seen in Avengers Endgame, and she really didn't do anything to, help the Avengers in a way. She was kind of just protecting the Sanctum Sanctorum. And I feel like the Eternals are the same way. Like, they've watched over the Avengers Battle of New York, Age of Ultron, and obviously Thanos, but they never intervene. But with Black Knight, he's a character that is someone who we really will see I think, past this movie, get his own movie, and he could be an Avenger at some point down the line.
Yeah, two things. Definitely, I think Black Knight is going to be the one who moves around. I think as we move forward with the MCU, he'll be a character that you will vaguely remember. His first appearance MCU wise was in the Eternals. It's going to be like Black Widow. Remember, everyone's like, oh shit, oh yeah, she first appeared in Iron Man 2. But he's going to be less attached to the Eternals, more attached to just the MCU. The Eternals, though, yeah, who knows? And obviously, like you said, they stayed out of everything for so long. But then after Thanos snapped those fingers, how many of them went away? Did any of them go away? Is this now the point where they're like, okay, we kind of effed up here. Like we should have been a little bit more active because this affects us now too. So, I mean, you have to assume, right? That's going to be an interesting question. Were the Eternals affected by the snap? You know what I mean? Are they above it or are they part of it? Because it's 50% or what? Yeah, 50% of all life forms, right? So
yeah, I think they're completely out of it. I don't think they exist on the same plane as the human race.
So, big bad wise, I don't know. I'm also hearing a lot of talk, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched all of Loki, a lot of people think Kang is going to be the new big bad. I'm not entirely sure I agree with that. I think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. But big bad, I'm not entirely sure. I don't know if we're ever going to see another big bad Thanos wise, and I'd be okay with that. So it's a good question. When does Eternals comes out in November? Is that right?
Yeah. Because Shang-Chi will be out in September, and then we get that, and then we'll have the Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's in December, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Damn, Shang-Chi's like weeks away, man. That's crazy. Yeah. You know what's funny? Side note, kind of just going down the rabbit hole a little bit here, as we do on the Comic Book Podcast, episode 30. I literally just like kind of, I mean, I was out of town for a couple of weeks, but I logged into like Instagram and I was like, oh shit, Suicide Squad this week. So gonna have to watch that tonight.
Yeah, we'll definitely we'll definitely talk about it next week.
Yeah.
Before we actually started this, it dropped a little early on Thursday night here, since we're recording this on August 5th, and I actually watched the first hour of it, and I will say I am thoroughly enjoyed with it. James Gunn's version. I can't wait to finish up the rest of it, but it's very interesting. It's fun. I like the characters. I feel like the characters are a lot more condensed, and you feel for these characters, I feel like, more than David Ayer's version. And I've only been into it for an hour. So it's funny and it's good.
One question, and then we won't talk about it anymore because we don't want to spoil anything. One question. How is what's the word I'm looking for? The theme / vibe compared to David Ayer's? Darker, funnier, same? Does it feel different?
It's definitely in the middle.
Okay.
You're obviously with James Gunn, you get the music thing. So, some parts are very like semi-poppy, but it's Suicide Squad. It's rated R. You're going to be like, okay, yep, I could see why this is rated R. So
it's not jarring. You're not going to be like, because I think there was a concern on like where it falls in DCEU, and is it going to feel like completely unconnected? But it feels good. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, no. So far, the first hour, again, we're really going to talk about this after you watch it and I finish it. It's definitely a nice standalone. I'll say that you don't need to know really anything, really at all, to be honest. Maybe Harley Quinn. That's really it, and Amanda Waller. But they quickly do the Task Force X, like what it is, in the first 5 minutes. So
awesome, cool.
But yeah, we'll definitely talk about it next week.
Yeah. So, a couple other topics we're going to talk about. Obviously, we're going to launch into Terrificon. My boy Nemesis Prime took the week off as well last week. Went to Terrificon up in Connecticut for about 3 days. You were there 3 days?
Yeah. This was my 4th time attending Terrificon. It's a 3-day event up at Mohegan Sun, up in Eunice, Connecticut. This is the first time that I actually stayed at Mohegan Sun. I actually went up there on a Thursday because I know the absolute disgusting traffic it is to drive up there on a Friday from New Jersey to Connecticut, even though it's literally like a state and a half away.
That's crazy to me.
I'm telling you, when I went up there in 2019, I left probably about 9 or 10 in the morning. I didn't get there till like 4:30 in the afternoon, but I left Thursday at like 9 o'clock, and I would have probably been up there by like 1, but I made some stops, but no traffic. Like, what a difference getting up there. So
sweet.
So yeah, The Terrificon is an absolute awesome show. It's put on by Mitch Halleck. It's the quintessential comic book show for the simple fact of you literally, again, this is what's great about it, is I stayed at Mohegan Sun in a hotel. I literally could wake up in the morning, grab some breakfast, walk down into like the normal casino floor, walk past everybody playing craps or blackjack or whatever, and then walk right in the convention center, hang out, walk around the showroom floor, and then walk back up to my hotel if I really needed to. Like,
take a little nap in between.
Yeah, like Saturday was so like Friday the show opened up at 1. I ended up going to the pool and the jacuzzi before at like 11 o'clock to, just kind of chill. Saturday was great. Like Saturday I was on the showroom floor at 10. Went out to lunch with my boy Juan, Jay Saint's Art. He's, one of my Connecticut brothers up there. So it was really cool to hang out with him and meet his family. Then we walked back on the floor, met up with my friend Matt, who is ex Last Level Comics. Met up with him, his wife, and his boy Travis. We ended up going to the pool and the jacuzzi, hung out for a little bit, and then went back to the showroom, back to the convention. So it's like all in one day. Like you can literally do so much stuff, and you don't have to worry about like leaving the casino. Basically,
I see a couple benefits for this kind of a con. One, if you were to bring your significant other who isn't much of a comic book person or family or something, they would have things to do, which that's awesome, right?
Yeah.
And then honestly, like con wise, dude, you could like load up your hands and then take the stuff up to your room and drop it off. Like there's nothing worse than like walking around a con with all that crap that you've purchased. You know what I mean? And like you're finger fucking it the whole time and like ruining anything. Like that's awesome to be able to go take it upstairs and just leave it there.
Yeah. Luckily, our Very Gary Comics was there. I bought so much from him that I basically waited to one point where I didn't have anything and I was going to go back up to the room because I knew that I was just like, I'm not going to carry this big load of books around with me. So
carrying a short box.
Yeah. Well, I basically I filled the short box and then I left with 2 short boxes because I bought a brand new one in Bags and Boards because Bags and Boards are like gold right now. So
yes.
But that's another thing. Like you said, like imagine going to like a convention and buying a statue and then lugging this statue around with you for the rest of the show. Like that's not something you want to do. So that's what's the perfect thing is like if you're staying at the hotel, it's like, yeah, I'll just be right back. I'll be back in 10 minutes. I'm just going to go upstairs and drop off this statue. Like,
yeah, that's awesome. Damn, I don't know why I just thought about this, and we'll come back to obviously come back to more more Terrificon talk, but shout out, happy birthday, TiVo, Lords of the Long Box, old balls, 50 years old.
Happy birthday, Tim.
You know what I mean? So, and you guys might see this soon, but Justin and I got Tim a couple presents. I just happened to something catch my eye that reminded me of it. And you'll see he got a little present from the Comic-Con podcast that you should be receiving here shortly. But anyway, man, sorry. Totally sidetracked on that.
No, that's all right. So back to the convention itself. Like I said, it's great for anybody who wants to just hang out at a convention. You don't have to leave the place. Other than that, the fucking comic book community is absolutely awesome. Whether you're in the Instagram or the YouTube, the Northeast comic book community is so fucking strong. Like people are so, welcoming. And I mean, I met people there that I only know in Instagram. Like they've like seen my face on YouTube. I've seen their face on YouTube. Maybe I've never seen them and I only follow them on Instagram or whatever. But man, it was just like a blast. It's like a party. Like the fact that it's not New York Comic Con where it's so overwhelming.
Right.
But the fact that it's like, you could just you could be at someone's booth and then all of a sudden it's just like, we're just talking, like people are just talking and then someone will come in and then you'll be like, oh, this is so-and-so. I'll be like, oh my God, I know you, and it's kind of like a back and forth, little banter. So many people out there in the community, which is absolutely, I don't want to really go through names because there's so many and I would forget some of them, but a lot of people that I did speak with for the first time, they will definitely be appearing as guests here on the Comic-Con podcast in the near future.
Awesome.
Of course, myself, I walked around with buttons. As I said on Lords of the Long Box last week, if you saw me, I had tons of buttons. I was just giving out buttons to anybody waiting in line. So if anybody's new listening to the Comic-Con podcast from Terrificon, thank you. And, I did see some people having the buttons on their backpacks or on their shirts, which was really cool. A lot of good people just randomly saw me wearing my Comic-Con podcast t-shirt. So they said, really nice things about both myself and you too, Zach. They shit on
Awesome.
you a little bit, but
Fair
we only
enough.
talk about the nice things.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's a great comic book show. It's not entertainment like New York Comic-Con. It's not like San Diego Comic-Con, where it's, all about the celebrities and, the crazy exclusives and, let's check out this giant, big Sony Pictures like vendor booth. It's literally a comic oriented thing. Yeah, they have some, like Michael Roker was there, and a couple other people like from like the Power Rangers and other like Larry, I can't think of his last name. He was the voice of Lion-O from like Thundercats.
Mhm.
But the greatest thing about Terrificon is the fact that you can run into people just checking in or going to breakfast. And this is something that you and I talked about on my way home, because I had a 4-hour drive, was like, I was checking in and Dan Jurgens, who, is well known for writing tons of stuff. And of course, Death of Superman, he was next to me in line and we just started having a conversation as we were checking into
That's awesome.
checking into the hotel. And then the very next day on Friday morning, I'm sitting at one of the restaurants called Hash a Go-Go, and Peter Tomasi is there. And I literally just started having conversation with him about his new 52 Batman and Robin run. I pulled up my sleeve. I showed him my Batman tattoo, which is a cover that him and Pat Gleason did on Batman and Robin. And just, really nice stuff just to talk about. We talked about his Detective Comics run. So that's the greatest thing, is that you could just see these people at breakfast. You could see them maybe playing, blackjack at like 10 o'clock at night later in the evening.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I mean, for me, like, I know you are definitely more of like the hunter when it comes to books out of the two of us. For me, the cons are more about like exactly what you're talking about, the community. Like, I like to go. I want to talk to people about comics. I want to look around. I probably don't buy much at all. Maybe some art occasionally. I don't really like hunt for books at cons, but yeah, I'm there to talk to people and have fun. And the idea of like, you could do a lap in the around the con and be like, shit, dude, let's go hit the blackjack table. I would have fun being like, okay, there's let's just pick a book. There's a first appearance of Kang. Man, I want that book. Okay, I'm gonna go gamble for it. That is something like that, like appeals to me. Like, and be like, okay, should I buy this book? Well, we'll see, won't we? Let's go see how good I am at blackjack. And if I make my winnings, I'll go buy that book. Like, and if not, well, then I wasn't meant to have it. So, nah, dude, I wanted to come up. Obviously, I was on vacation as well, and the timing just didn't work out. But next year, for sure, I'm doing it. We'll make it happen for sure.
Yeah.
I wanted to go last year, man, but I wasn't able to. Obviously,
Well,
COVID, and then I think I was actually purchased tickets the year before. Or no, I was going to come out and hang out with you that first time. That was like 2 years ago, but that wasn't for that. That was for just a little comic swap.
No, that was just something else. Yeah. That was just for the comic swap.
That's
right.
Yeah,
listen, like you said, you can bring your wife, significant other, whatever it is, and they have their own things to do, and you can still spend time with them at night. Hell, I was riding a mechanical bull one night. If people saw me on my Instagram, and they have tons of things that are going on. There's like concerts. There's a big arena, so they may have a sporting event. Like obviously this past weekend, they have like comedy shows. They had a pretty badass Queen tribute band out in the parking lot, which is tons of fun. But there's so much stuff to do that it's like you don't feel like you need to spend the entire time like I said, like at the convention. There's always things that you could like walk out and like come back hours later. It's not like you need to see everything in that day if you're staying for the weekend, or even if you go for 2 days. You went like Friday and Saturday or Saturday and Sunday. There's so much stuff that can be done outside of the convention. So highly recommend anybody who's listening, definitely check out Terrificon next year. Stay at Mohegan Sun. Like I said, that was my first time staying in the hotel. Typically I've stayed at it's called the Micro Hotel, which they actually shuttle you over. It's not too far away. It's like maybe like 2 miles, like a 5-minute drive, but staying at the hotel was just awesome. Like it was perfect.
Sweet. So we talked about Terrificon. Let's move on to another con. We got some news recently that's kind of lighten up the Instagram and the comic book community, and shouldn't be surprised in the 2020, 2021 world we live in, where everything is divisive and there's one side against the other. But we received some news about New York Comic Con. Obviously, the state and the city of New York have updated some of their rules and regulations regarding COVID-19 vaccines and whatnot. And seems that NYCC will be requiring the COVID-19. You will have to show proof, vaccine passport, vaccine whatever, to attend New York Comic Con. Now, that didn't really affect me because I wasn't really planning on going, but I know it definitely affects you a little bit. So
yes, it does.
Let's preface this. Hold on. Before we launch into this, because like I said, everything is so divisive right now. You made a post on your Instagram and shit was getting heated. People were getting upset. And I get it. This is a topic that has definitely divided our country. We're gonna talk, and I want to hear your genuine opinion. I mean, look, anyone who's listened to Comicbooks podcast knows you and I give our genuine opinions. So I guess I want to disclaimer this before and say, like, hey, look, everyone is allowed their opinions. Okay, you may not agree with what's going to be said, and it may not seem like it is to you the right decision, but that does not mean there's not common ground for people. We cannot allow these things to divide us so much and pit it against each other. You know, so. Some of you maybe listening are going to agree with Justin. Some of you probably will not. But man, like, just understand he's allowed.
Some of you may skip over this part entirely.
Yeah, maybe you should. Yeah, who knows? So anyway, tell me your thoughts about New York Comic Con. You have you got a pass.
Yes, I have 3 days. I have Thursday, Friday, Sunday. I was not able to get Saturday, but I typically don't even go on Saturday regardless because it's just an absolute shit show. So even this year, they limited originally from what the website was saying that they limited the amount of tickets going out this year, which is understandable. They were going to be doing temperature checks. You were going to have to wear a mask. Now, here's another thing. Terrificon, completely wide open. There were people wearing masks because obviously that's up to them. There was no temperature checks. High fives were going around, hugs were going around, fist bumping, whatever you want to, handshakes, nothing. With New York Comic Con, I feel like we are falling in line with the government, and it's absolutely atrocious. Like, I'm sorry, but for me growing up in the tri-state area my entire life, and this is this is not for everybody, but this is in my opinion, New York has always been like the New Yorkers. Like, you hear about the New Yorkers. Oh, we're so strong. Oh, after 9/11, we're all together, this and that. But now it's like, this is where we're at, is now the New Yorkers are basically just falling in line. Like, nobody wants to stop and say, no, I'm not doing this. Like, restaurants, this is hurting. It's going to hurt everything. It's going to hurt restaurants. It's going to hurt Broadway, even though it hasn't opened up. I mean, you're literally at a point where, basically people are not going to want to do things. Like, so now this puts people in a position where, especially comic book people, I'm sure, New York Comic Con is a huge event, besides like San Diego and I don't know, let's call it like Emerald City or WonderCon, C2E2, like big conventions.
Right.
This is something that people fly out to. So now people who are not vaccinated have to either make the decision to get vaccinated before this show or completely cancel everything. And I'm sure people have like booked hotels, booked flights because it's only 2 months away.
Right. Yeah. People come out because it's also an opportunity to go to New York City. So, it's the draw. It's like, oh, cool. I want to go to a con. Also, like going to New York City and doing things around there. Boom. 2 birds, 1 stone. But I'm with you. I mean, you and I talk a lot offline about our opinions on this kind of stuff, and we're pretty much on the same page. And, yeah, man, like I don't begrudge anyone. Look, I want to say that first. Like, I don't begrudge anyone if you get the vaccine, if you believe in the vaccine, good for you, man. Like, I really, honestly, like I don't. There are some people out there who are like, either all for vaccine or all against it. And like, you're stupid. You got the vaccine. Like, now I don't believe they're injecting like computer chips in us. Okay, right? I'm not
sterilization for the future.
I'm not really down that line, but I'm really of the mindset like, hey, it's on you. It's your body, your choice, whatever. Do what you want to do. Now, there are the people who are out there who are complete virtue signalers who are like, oh, I'm just such a good person. You need to do this for other people, blah, blah, blah. But like, look, dude, like what's good for you isn't necessarily good for someone else. Like there are concerns out there. There are medical concerns for some people and why they don't get the vaccine. And so to say, one of the comments is, well, you know, you got to protect our families. It's for our families. Like it's for everyone else's, my kids and stuff. Well, okay. First off, yeah, kids are important. We should protect children. I'm with you.
Mhm.
But your children, I'm sorry. This might be people need to hear this. Okay. Your children are not priority number one for me in my life. I don't know what to tell you about that. They might be yours. They are not mine. Okay. So my concerns, and I'm saying the general me, you know, like other people's concerns are not your children. It's not other people's duty to protect your children and do what's right for your children. If you're concerned about your children, don't bring your children to New York Comic Con. That's probably that's probably the best solution. And don't bring your family. That's on you.
Yeah. No, and kind of realistically for the way I feel, and again, I agree with you, and I'm in the same boat as you. Like as far as like there's the people who are the middle ground. There's the people that don't believe in. There's the people that do believe in it. I get it. I feel for everybody. I'm not saying you shouldn't get the vaccine,
right?
But listen, at the end of the day, this is something that both you and I love, and all of the listeners love. Like the fact that you're taking this away from me, like for something that I love, is crazy. Like. If you don't want to come to New York Comic Con because you're going to be in a petri dish of people, then don't come. Like if you're scared, like just
don't come.
Just don't come. Like don't make it for people who like but and then you have the people who are, you know, had it. I had COVID. I had the antibodies. I still have the antibodies because I got tested literally a month ago when I was in the hospital. Like, and I had it last November. So I have an immunity or a way to get around it because. Or like if you're someone who just cannot get it because, like you said, there's a medical complication. What if you're like, well, I can't get it because of this, but I want to attend New York Comic Con? Like there's no fair market.
Right. I'm with you. I as well got COVID back about a year ago, last year in June. I honestly just went to Mexico and to get back on the airplane, had to take the test as well. Got the antibodies in me as well. Personally, I don't make it a political thing. To me, it's not. It is. It's 100%. The vaccine has become a political tool and people are using it that way. For me, it is very much so. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I believe in vaccines. I do. I also believe in the human body, and I believe that it's designed to protect itself. And if you stay healthy and if you take care of yourself, then you should probably be pretty good. You know what I mean? And so I also have a hard time because here's my thing. When I hear these people say, get the vaccine, you know, you got to watch out, like take care of me and blah, blah, blah. And then I look at their lives. I'm like, bro, you are chugging down sodas. You're smoking cigarettes. Like, I mean, you're treating your body like a literal dumpster and you're concerned about whether or not your vaccine is going to work because whether or not I have a vaccine or not. So anyway, we're probably turning people off about.
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, it's something that's very important, especially to the people that are in this market or who are going or who thought of going. And listen, the overall topic is it's shitty that this is happening, but nobody is probably going to talk about this.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That's
true.
Again,
here it is. I'm not against. I believe in COVID. I think it's a thing. Of course, I had it. My whole family had it. You had it. Your wife had it. I believe, you know, I'm not saying the vaccine is bad for you. I'm just not for it. And that's just all it is. Like, you know, this is not a political show. This is not a science show. This is a comic book show. So that's really all we have to say about that.
Yep. And it's too bad because like you said, it's going to affect them. They're going to lose money. They're going to lose more money from they already were losing when they limited the number of like the capacity. And you're going to see it happen, man. I imagine if things stay this way, you might see these cons moving to bigger cons showing up in Texas and Florida and states like California and New York Comic-Con. San Diego Comic-Con and New York Comic-Con might now be Dallas, Texas Con and Miami, Florida Con and stuff like that.
I got the open invite. I got the open invite to come to MegaCon, I think in like 2 weeks. And I forgot who it was. I was just like, listen, bro, I was like, I'm tapped out for comics right now. Like I'm exhausted for as much comics as I saw in 4 days. Like I need a break. And that's weird to say. So
yeah. So that's all we got. And hopefully we didn't turn off any listeners who don't agree with us. And once again, I want to make it clear that we have our opinions. We don't attack other people's opinions. If you felt attacked, definitely apologize. Don't feel like that. We don't, what's right for you is what's right for you. What's right for us is what's right for us. I mean, that's just kind of the way it needs to be. And if we all live that and accept other people's opinions, we might go back to a normal world. Okay. Then
absolutely
everyone at each other's throats. So boom, done. God, that was nonsense. Back to comics.
Yeah.
So, we had some news. Did we? We were going to talk to cons. Terrificon.
I think we were just going to talk about Masters of the Universe.
Oh yeah, but before that,
I
don't know if anyone's. Yeah, I know. I got to give myself a humble brag here. I don't know if anyone saw my Instagram post. Shout out to Nemesis Prime, my co-host here, who first off hooked me up with. I'm going to tell this story real quick. Hooked me up with the PlayStation 5. So haven't been able to get a PlayStation 5 like probably a lot of people who hadn't really tried very hard either, to be honest with you. Was super unwilling to pay double, like $1,000 for something. So Justin knew that I'd been kind of like looking, and correct me if I get this wrong. You had received an email from like Sony saying, "Hey, we're going to have some on stock, log in, blah, blah, blah." And you told me like, "Hey, if I can get one, you want me to get one?" And you're like, I was like, "Sure, dude, if you can get it." And sure shit, got it. Sent it my way. So been playing Final Fantasy VII Remake Intermission, which is the add-on DLC to the Final Fantasy VII Remake. And I was super excited to play as like Yuffie and do all the side character stuff. And you and I are big Final Fantasy people. And you'd know, like, I had completed platinum status on the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Super proud of it because it was hard, man. It took a while.
Yeah,
yeah. Some people might be listening like, "Oh, it wasn't that hard." Well, it was hard for me. So it was hard for me. Okay. I struggle. But then I log in, I download the shit, and I see my platinum status go away. And I'm like, no. Like, it says you have 54 out of like 63 trophies now. And I'm like, oh my God. So I've been working on it. And as of Thursday, August 5th, 2021, remember this day in history, I re-achieved my platinum status for Final Fantasy VII Remake Intermission. All 63 trophies completed. Boom. Suck it, fools.
I used to be like that for like Xbox and PlayStation. Like mostly Xbox. Like I needed to get all the achievements. Yeah. But then I kind of stopped because it was just like, it was like way too much. I've literally never been that person. Like, this I think might be the first game I ever went for a platinum trophy for. It's because I just really enjoyed the game. And I was like, okay, I'll keep playing. And then it kind of gives you, I liked it because it gave me a reason to keep playing and I was enjoying it. And it'd be like, okay, well, I'll play till I do this. Now, I almost stopped when I had to get like all 9 dresses. Had to have Cloud wear all 9 dresses or some shit like that. That was stupid. But it was fun, man. Anyway, sorry. Super proud of that. And I'm glad you put that PlayStation 5 to good use because I'm still playing PS4 games.
Yeah.
On my PS5. So I
think I might move to the Assassin's Creed Valhalla next.
All right. Nice.
I think I might try that.
I got to play Ratchet and Clank. I have it,
that too.
That's like the first like really big game now on the system because everything else is getting pushed back to next year. So
is that, I know we're kind of falling down the game rabbit hole, but some people like this stuff. Is that a open world type game, Ratchet and Clank?
No, it's kind of like Mario 64 where it's somewhat open, but not like super open. Like it's still
I played the earlier ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I might do that then before Assassin's Creed because that shit takes forever. So
yeah, I would definitely play Ratchet and Clank because you definitely like visually it's awesome. So
cool. Sweet. So now we're going to launch into another polarizing conversation. Probably we want to talk about Masters of the Universe Revelation. So as you all know, it's probably a couple weeks now that Netflix dropped the first season or at least first 5 episodes.
Part one
of Masters of the Universe Revelation, the new He-Man cartoon, executively produced by Kevin Smith. So a couple things for those of you who are 90s babies, kind of like, 80s babies, but grew up in the 90s like Justin and I, watching He-Man and whatnot. This is kind of like a continuation. Like this takes place after pretty much everything you've seen. There's really no, like, you don't have to watch He-Man, the original stuff, but all the characters are there and it's kind of like moving forward after that.
It's established, which is the best part.
Yeah. So I think I'm on 3 episodes in. I still got 2 more to watch, and I'm not super happy about it. Multiple reasons. First person I'd love to attack here is Kevin Smith. Like, don't like Kevin Smith, and I have not liked Kevin Smith for a while. Like, his days of Mallrats and Clerks and that stuff, like Dogma, that's gone. Like, anything he's done since that has sucked. And his continuation, the Jay and Silent Bob stuff, it's just stupid. I don't really like Kevin Smith, and I think he kind of butchered this, man. It has an agenda. It definitely has an agenda, and I wasn't feeling it. Your thoughts?
I agree with you. I think after the first episode, I thought Tila was a CUNT, but and then I get the whole women in power thing with Tila and what's her name, Elena or Andrea,
the new character, yeah,
Andrea, and like they're all about. It's just like them two. There's the episode where, and this is kind of like spoilers. There's like the episode where they basically tell they get Man at Arms, but she's like basically telling Man at Arms, no, we don't need you. Go back to wherever. Go sit this one out type of thing.
Yeah,
and
she sends him to Grayskull. Yeah,
like so. Yes, like you said, it's very agenda driven. But past that, I thought the series was really good for the first 6 episodes. I think the voice actors and actresses did a phenomenal job. We talked about this preview months ago,
right?
Like the people that were voicing the characters. The action was great. My 2 things or I should say my 3 things of good and bad were, so in that first episode where He-Man fights Skeletor, and they literally pull the quote right out of the movie when Skeletor says, "Let this be our final battle." That's literally right out of the Masters Universe stuff.
Great movie.
My next thing is, anytime I saw Merman on camera, all I could think about was Batman, because Kevin Conroy voices Merman.
Oh, really? I mean, that not really that Kevin Conroy was. All I could think about was Zoolander. I'm a merman. Dad.
Oh no, dude! Every time I just heard him talking, it was just like Batman. Like I just see Batman standing next to Skeletor talking to Tila or Evil Lynn. But you haven't finished it yet. So
no. So, and I'm with you. Like who I hear? Maybe it's just Mark Hamill. I hear Joker. That's like all I really hear when I hear Skeletor. But yeah, so my things that bug me about, I'm 3 episodes in, and this is kind of touch on one of the comments you just made, that episode about Man at Arms. So first off, the trailer was super misleading. Like, they should receive penalties for what they put in the trailer. It was just like false advertising. Everything He-Man related, spoiler alert, is backstory. It's flashbacks. Like, He-Man is gone from Jump Street from the first episode. And it was very much like, dude, Tila, that was almost unwatchable. Like, listening to her cry about being lied to, I was like, you are a disgusting human being. and then it very much, yes, it does have the women empowerment theme, which that's fine. Like, that doesn't bother me at all. But it's also, dude, so it's like women empowerment. We don't need men. And Tila's built like a brick shit house also. And then you get to episode 3 and watch episode 3 again where she sends Man at Arms away. She needs men. Man at Arms saves her 3 times in that episode. Literally 3 times Man at Arms saves them. And it's like, dude, it just, as of now, I was kind of like, okay, I don't know what to think about this. Maybe you told me before that it ends well, and I like the animation's good. I'm definitely going to finish it. The other thing,
there's a lot of good things that happen in obviously the next 2 or 3 episodes that you haven't seen, and it's awesome. At Terrificon, I had this conversation with Ryan Brown, who's an artist. He actually did a variant cover exclusive for Masters Universe Revelations, the comic book. And we were just sitting there, we were at the convention and we were talking about it, and everything that you and I just said, people a little bit hated on it, but it still brought you back. It's still way better than watching, the 80s stuff, because that's
true. It's hard to watch.
Yeah. There's certain shows from the 80s cartoons that don't hold their weight and are very hard to watch nowadays.
Right.
Like He-Man is definitely one of them.
It is. Yeah.
Transformers, I mean, I could watch Transformers till I'm blue in the face, but there are some of the episodes where like they don't really stand the test of time. G.I. Joe, I feel like is that's fine, but like there are shows like that, and from what we got from the early 2000s with the He-Man Masters of the Universe that came out on Cartoon Network, which was fucking phenomenal. This was a very good way to, a really good way to just continue the story. Like the fact that it's a direct sequel to the original, everybody's established. So, if you don't know the characters, you probably wouldn't watch the show because it's not really for, it's not for newbies.
Yeah. And maybe look, I'm also enough of the person like where I'm not going to write stuff off, 5 or 6 episodes. And then, it has been receiving quite a bit of hate. Maybe they'll write the shit. Maybe they'll fix things. And that's fine with me. Like, yeah, cool, man. That you tried something new. It didn't really work out. Okay, cool. Let's move forward. But it is disappointing because, like you said, some other of the like remake cartoons, like, dude, the Thundercats remake was awesome. Yep. Loved that Thundercats that was Cartoon Network as well, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Voltron on Netflix is amazing.
I still got it. It's on my list, man. I know you keep talking about it.
It's so good. It's so good. So, when they did this, I'm like, oh man, this is going to be great. He-Man, this will be awesome. So anyway, not to belabor a point. And once again, apologize for anyone out there who got their feelings hurt by the comments made on the Comic-Con podcast episode 30. But that's just what we think. And we're always going to tell you. We're always going to tell you our opinions. And you know what? Honestly, if anything triggered you on this, I genuinely welcome anyone. Shoot us an email, comicconpodcast@gmail.com, or on our Instagram account, the Comic-Con Podcast, and ask us, you know what, dude, we'd love to have people on. Like, I would have someone on to, I don't want to use the word debate because that's kind of like an aggressive term, but come on and talk. And I am definitely the kind of person who doesn't like, and I think you are as well. I think we're very much like kind of the same. I'm not stuck in my ways. Like I can be swayed if you can convince me and bring up good points, So if we've offended anyone and you just are so much better and smarter than us, please come on and talk to us about that.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so round it out. This has been a fun episode. I missed it. 2 weeks out, and I definitely missed it.
Well, you haven't done one in 3 weeks, basically. For you, it's 3. For me, it's 2. Like,
yeah. So we've got. We always end the same thing. What we are currently reading, and you've kind of taken a downside, right? You don't really got anything you want to talk about? Is there anything?
Yeah, I really don't. I mean, my only honorable mention this week is the new Batman issue, Batman 111. This one, I really feel like we're just around the corner for Fear State,
right?
Did you read this issue?
Yeah.
Okay, so I really am actually now enjoying Miracle Molly as a character.
Yeah, she's cool.
I think she's actually starting to grow on me. I really feel like if you didn't read Future State, the Gotham stuff, you really don't understand some of these characters, because where it was leading,
right?
Like
the magistrate stuff,
yeah. But I like how obviously that's still all of a tie-in. Scarecrow is still badass, so I'm cannot wait for this Fear State to actually start and to really have Scarecrow front and center for it. So that's really like my only thing that I really have this week. I was, just so busy. I really didn't get a chance to read anything or last week. So even last week's books, I didn't really read anything. So I have like 2 weeks right now. I have like 2 weeks of catching up. I didn't even go to the comic shop this week or last week. So yeah, I have like a ton of stuff to pick up.
Yeah. I like the Batman stuff too. The 111 was really good. And I'm excited too. We've talked about this before. It's just so cool because honestly, I feel like this Scarecrow is like mirroring the Scarecrow from Arkham Knight, the game. Mm-hmm. He's got the little finger things as well, which is really cool. And yeah, it's gonna be awesome. So cool. So I have 3 books that I wanted to talk about because I actually received. Obviously, I had to get 2 weeks worth of comics, and then I had a bunch of books come in from KRS Comics Pull Box. And which you guys, if you need a pull box, check it out. KRScomicspullbox.com or KRSpullbox.com. It's done by KRS Comics. They get awesome little pull box you guys can set up there. And you can also use the Lords of the Long Bucks, LOTLB discount code, which I do as well. And that's what I've been using. Books come great. Awesome. Been super happy. Anyway, 3 books I want to talk about. The first one is Vinyl by Doug Wagner. It's an Image Comics, and it's creepy. It reminds me of it's definitely like a horror kind of vibe to it. It's almost like a mix between it reminds me, oh God, the Nick Spencer run. It was like super creepy. Damn, man, dark. Anyway, I can't remember what it's called right now off the top of my head, but it's really good. It's about like a serial killer who's kind of like helping the guy who's like investigating him, and there's a lot of murder. There's like a cult type situation going on. I thought it was really cool. So definitely check that out. Vinyl. There's 2 issues out. I haven't read issue 2 yet. Bedlam. Bedlam is the Nick Spencer.
Oh yeah, I remember Bedlam. Oh my God, that thing was crazy.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
Yeah, 12 issues. Oh my God, the covers were just sick. Yes.
Yeah. So it kind of gave me a Bedlam vibe. Not as creepy as Bedlam was, but definitely pretty cool. The next one I got is The Last Book You'll Ever Read from Cullen Bunn and Nightfall Comics. And I don't know. I wanted to talk about it because I'm not sure about it. It didn't blow my socks off by any means, but I love Cullen Bunn. I like his writing. And it was a cool start, like a good idea. Basically, this writer writes a book, and it's the last book you'll ever read because as you read it, it almost seems like right now we don't have a lot of things like information, but it like kind of infects you with some demons, and they all keep trying to kill the writer and like coming after her. So she has to hire a security guard to protect her. And her rule is, you can be my security, but do not read my book. So they don't know, like, is there secrets in the book, or the book has to do with kind of like people and like people's urges and almost like nihilism and stuff like that as well. It's interesting. It's cool. I'm excited to keep reading it. Like I said, it's called The Last Book You'll Ever Read by Cullen Bunn, Nightfall Comics.
Okay.
And then the last one I wanted to talk about is Ordinary Gods by Kyle Higgins and Image Comics. And this book was awesome. I am really excited to keep reading this series. It sets up like a kind of a little like backstory, world building type thing. And I'm probably going to butcher this. So anyone else who read this, please don't get mad at me for butchering this at all, because it's only 1 issue in. But there's this idea that this supreme being created like 13 or 12, I can't remember the exact number, of gods that kind of like all represent a different trait, like strength or envy or something like that. And they rule this other world, right? And their kingdoms are ruled and based on their attribute or whatever. And so there's like a rebellion in the world of the gods. And then you find out that some of the gods were sent to Earth, and Earth is more or less a prison created for the gods. And they're kind of like being resurrected in new bodies over the years. We don't know a lot, but it seems like they're being like resurrected and coming. And so they're searching for each other, while also the other side of the gods that are coming after them are also attacking them. It was really cool. It looks like it has a lot of potential. I very much enjoyed the first issue for sure. Like I said, that's Ordinary Gods by Kyle Higgins. So check that out.
I'll have to give that
Image Comics. Yeah, it was cool, man.
Did you ever read, I'm sure you have, Wicked and Divine from Gillian?
No, I haven't.
Really?
I've wanted to. It's been on my list, and it always kind of like, it's always kind of one of those books that just gets pushed to the back burner.
Okay.
And I love Gillian. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised because you know I know you're a Gillian fan, and this is that it's a very similar story with the gods. They come back every so many years, and they take up they in the most recent in this storyline, they take up the roles of like musicians. So there's like someone who looks like kind of like a David Bowie. There's like a Daft Punk type of characters. And then there's other things that are happening throughout the storyline. But they're reincarnated as like musicians. So, and they did like they've done a few spin-offs that were like one shots, which were really cool. And they were different years. Like it was, Wicked and Divine 1520 AD. And then like there was like another one that was like the 1900 or something, or 19th century. Like,
I'll have to
they're interesting. But yeah, the Wicked and Divine was a really cool read. I liked Gillian stuff. I think that was actually one of the first early Image things that I was reading like from him back in the day.
Oh, another little shout out because we kind of talked about this a couple weeks ago. For any of you guys who read the free comic book day books, did you read any of those? Did you get any of those?
Yeah, I actually got a couple of them early.
Okay. Did you read the Spider-Man Venom one or the Avengers one?
I didn't get. I actually, unfortunately, I didn't get any of the Marvel or DC ones. I got the Image and IDW ones so
Oh,
far.
did you get the Something is Killing the Children?
Well, yeah, House of Slaughter. Yeah, I got the House of Slaughter. I got House of Slaughter. I got Stray Dogs, and I got the 2 Star Wars books.
What's the Stray
Yeah,
Dogs one?
it's like a prequel to Stray Dogs.
Damn, man. If you got any extras, you need to hook me up.
Well, I mean, new comic book day is next week, so
Yeah.
I'll try to. Yeah. But yeah, the ones I got, like I said, the Stray Dogs it's okay. Like, I mean, if you obviously you and I read the series, anybody else who's out there read the series, you know what it's kind of about. But the 2 Star Wars ones were cool.
They were cool.
Like the Star
I
Wars
read
ones.
those too. But I wanted to talk about the Marvel ones. You need to pick them up because it's they're like dual stories. So like one's Avengers in the first half, and then part 2 is Hulk. And it's actually kind of like a setup for Donny Cates' Hulk. It kind of gives you, I don't know if it's a preview or if it's like excerpt from his issue number 1 that's going to come out, or if it's actually like a part of it. But it gives you an idea of what he's going to be doing with the Hulk. Okay. So pretty cool. I was pretty excited to read that. I was like, okay, because we talked about like, well, where's Donny Cates going to take the Hulk? We know how he likes to switch things up and do things new. So, and then along the same lines. In the Spider-Man book, you got a Spider-Man story, and then you have a Venom story, and it kicks off right after Venom by Donny Cates, and now we have the Ram the Fifth and Al Ewing talking about writing their Venom storyline, and it answers a lot of the questions we talked about, which was, are we getting a continuation of the story? Is it going to be Eddie Brock? Is it going to be Dylan Brock? What's it going to be? So it was cool, man.
For first. Free comic book day next week, right?
Yeah. New comic book day, free comic book day next week. And it's cool. I was really excited to read those because we talked so much about that last week. Like those 2 dudes swapping titles and what it was going to be like. So it kind of gives you an idea.
All right.
My general first opinion is I think Al Ewing and Ram are going to crush Venom. Donny Cates, I don't know. It's definitely a different tone, and then like from the Immortal Hulk, man, it's Immortal Hulk being dark and like horror based, and then Cates always kind of has like a little bit of humor, you know what I mean, with his writing. So we'll see how it goes. All right. But I think that's all we have today, everyone. Thanks for listening. Episode 30, the Comic-Con podcast. Happy to be back. Was super excited to talk to everyone about everything that's been going on. Once again, of course, we're always going to tackle those topics that people may not want to talk about. And we'll do the same thing we ask you to do, is just keep an open mind. Respect everyone's opinions, and things will be good. But we will never shy away from that, nor the drama. Unfortunately, we don't have any drama right now. But been a while since we got any voice messages. We'd love a voice message. Send those in to the Comic-Con podcast at gmail.com. Like I said earlier, you can reach out to us either on our Instagram account, the Comic-Con podcast, or our private Instagrams, Nemesis Prime and Milton the Manimal, both on Instagram. Send us messages there. Or if you message on any YouTube videos, we'll as well, like we did today, answer those questions. And yeah, so we got a lot of guests kind of planned coming up tentatively. Some creators, some community. So a lot of stuff coming up here soon.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. People that I saw at Terrificon, so hopefully they can pop in here sometime soon. Some people that write for some websites. A lot of cool stuff. So we appreciate everybody listening to us. Episode 30 in the books. That's all I have. We'll check you next week.
Later, guys.